Wasabi guys, coming back at you with another Commander deck tech. This time we are going to be looking at one of the newest options here in Mairsil the Pretender. Now just in case you missed spoiler week, let's just go over him real quickly. When he enters the battlefield, and I must emphasize that whenever he enters, because we're going to be talking about flickering later, you may exile an artifact or creature card from your hand or graveyard and put a cage counter on it. Mairsil the Pretender has all activated abilities of all cards you own in exile with cage counters on them. You may activate each of those abilities only once each turn, which is the only downside, that you can only do that once per turn, which is why you have to find a way to flicker him or bounce him to your hand and recast him. Essentially what you want to do here is you want to get some combo pieces together, and you want to either exile them with Mairsil so that you can use the activated ability on him, or you find some sort of way to interact with Mairsil using artifacts that you can play alongside him. We're going to be talking about some interactions, some combos here, as well as just looking at some good utility cards that we can use their activated abilities to do some more tame things, but they're relatively good as well. So let's get on to the first category here. We're going to be talking about the artifacts, which are really just going to be the ones that tap for at least 3 mana here. So we have the Grim Monolith, Basalt Monolith, and Gilded Lotus. They're all very good, and they interact well, they combo out well. If you can find a way to untap them, they're most likely going to give you either infinite colorless mana, or if it's Gilded Lotus, it's going to give you infinite colored mana, which is what you want. It helps you win the game, it helps you combo out, interact with other cards in the deck. They're very important if you do want to make this more of a combo deck, so keep that in mind going on here. Because this is more of a combo deck, or at least the version that I have here of them, you do need tutors, you do need ways of getting to your combo pieces. In order to do that, we need cards like Entomb, Buried Alive, and Fabricate, alongside our demonic tutors and our vampiric tutors. These just help us get to our pieces, these help us get to whatever answers we need, activated abilities we can use to our advantage at any specific point of the game, any specific situations that we need to answer to. We definitely need to search those up. And beyond that, we just need some good creatures here. We have Aetherling, Morphling, and Torchling. Hilarious creatures. You probably haven't seen these in a whole lot of decks, because honestly, this is one of the only decks that can actually take advantage of them. You're exiling them, putting cage counters on them, and you're getting all of their activated abilities. Every single time you bring Mairsil out there, you're always going to have these activated abilities. You could get upwards of like 20 activated abilities on this guy. He's that ridiculous. Probably even more than that. If you're really into that combo, if you're really into just going off with him, you should be able to get a ton of activated abilities, and that's just insane. We haven't really seen anything else like this. We have Necrotic Oozes, we have other things like that, but we don't have any commander options that just do this craziness. Aetherlink's just awesome. He basically has a way just to evade any sort of removal there. Same thing with Morphling. They'll either combo or they interact, they evade removal. They can, Aetherlink can exile itself, bring itself back. There's some fun interactions with these cards, and just the options. You know how I am, you know how I love options. These cards are incredible. Even beyond that, if we're just talking about good utility here, I'm looking at Minion of Leshrac and Avatar of Woe. The funny thing about Minion of Leshrac is that it just takes its activated ability. You don't have to pay any of that bullshit during your upkeep, which is hilarious. So you get to destroy a creature or land just by tapping Mairsil, and there are a whole bunch of interactions where you can untap Mairsil, and if you have a way to flicker it, then you can constantly just reuse these abilities, and it's awesome. Avatar of Woe, again, very similar thing. And Una, Queen of the Fae, is basically a win con in this deck. If you can find a way to generate infinite mana, which shouldn't be too hard with this deck, you just need to flicker him a bit, and you have Una, Queen of the Fae, if you have her activated ability on Mairsil, you can win the game very easily, get yourself a ton of tokens, if not. So you have a ton of options here, and these are just a few. You have some other options that are more or less just based around good removal. But we also need some creatures that do help us combo, and in particular I'm looking at Pilipala, Horseshoe Crab, and Cavern Harpy. Pilipala and Horseshoe Crab are very similar. Pilipala is just more for the infinite mana combinations there that you can generate if you have a way to flicker Mairsil. And Horseshoe Crab is just hilarious. You pay the blue and you untap Mairsil, which is kind of interesting because technically, if you look up the rulings, any sort of card that references another card's name, like say Horseshoe Crab, technically Mairsil is that card's name, or it becomes that name. I don't know why it's not actually stated on Mairsil himself, but that's just the ruling that on Gatherer if you want to look it up. And Cavern Harpy is hilarious because the activated ability there, you pay 1 life and return Mairsil to your hand. So you keep replaying Mairsil, get more activated abilities. That's another way that you can go off. And again, if you have infinite mana, you pretty much win the game with this right here. So incredible activated ability. Doesn't require a lot of effort to take advantage of it, but it's an option there, and they're very cheap cards too, so you don't have to invest too much mana to really go infinite, to really combo out with Mairsil. Now, in order to have some freedom here with the number of activations, we need a way to flicker that, and why not use one of the best cards in the format in Deadeye Navigator? I mean, come on. Basically, you play Deadeye. If you have a Gilded Lotus, ideally you want a Gilded Lotus, and you tap it, you flicker it, tap it for more mana, you have infinite mana right there, and whatever activated abilities you have also on Mairsil pretty much wins you the game, because every time you flicker it, it forgets any sort of restrictions that it had with the number of activations in a turn, so you can constantly just reactivate those abilities there. It's hilarious. I love it. I think it's going to be a powerful combo, and we also have Conjurer's Closet if you're not as aggressive, but it can also help you out and sort of helps to reset the activations there at the end of the turn so that you can reuse them a second time. So it's pretty good. Other combo artifacts that we have, in case you didn't have enough of them already, we have Crystal Shard, Erratic Portal, and Magerite Stone. Shard and Portal are very similar. You're basically just going to be either bouncing Mairsil to your hand, or if you have infinite mana, you just bounce all your opponent's creatures. But mainly you're going to use this on Mairsil to reuse the abilities. So first you generate infinite mana. However you do that, that's up to you. And you just keep bouncing Mairsil to your hand. You keep recasting him and you keep reusing his abilities. Shouldn't be too hard. And then Magerite Stone is essentially just a way to untap Mairsil over and over again, because he is technically a creature with an activated ability that has the tap and its cost there. Yet another card that helps to combo out with it. And others, we have usual suspects here, such as Illusionist Bracers and Rings of Brighthearth. We all know what they do. They help you, they copy the activated abilities there. Makes it way easier for us to go off on our turn, and they're very cool. And Staff of Domination, shouldn't be any surprise. It's yet another artifact that allows us to untap our Mairsil or other stuff that we happen to have that we can take advantage of. These all just serve the purpose of comboing and making it so much easier for us to go off. And the more of these that we have, the easier it's going to be. And for our land base, it really is nothing more complicated than just, good Grixis mana fixing, your dual lands, your shock lands, things like that, your fetches. If you wanted a little extra bit of utility here, you could play a command beacon, so you get to recast them that way. But I really prefer Riptide Laboratory because it returns a target wizard to your hand, and Mairsil is a wizard, so you have that bit of flavor there as well. But really, what this deck is supposed to do, it's supposed to combo out, it's supposed to give you that interesting flavor. The whole activated ability synergy isn't really something that we've had too much of in the Commander format. People are always going to bring up Necrotic Ooze and compare it to it, and I think that's a fair comparison. But really, this whole deck is just an activated ability, just centric deck, and it's really fun just to see how it all fits together. And even though we don't have the cards to play with yet, I definitely think this guy has a lot of potential, and quite possibly the more underrated commander option of the wizard deck. So if you guys are interested in looking at a deck like this, check out my Tapped Out. I will have the link to it in the description below. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this, share it with your friends and family. If you have not already, subscribe to my channel. I have some other deck techs you might enjoy, and I do some top 10s that you also might enjoy as well. So anyway, Void here, signing off. You all have a wonderful day.